Welcome to HQ Infinite Stories, where every whisper of the wind carries an untold tale, and every grain of dust hides a secret of the Old West. Here, we share stories of love, betrayal, courage, and redemption, from a land where hearts were as wild as the frontier itself. So saddle up, partner, because today's story will test your heart, stir your soul, and leave you with both tears and hope. They said she was too big. They laughed when she walked by, whispered cruel words when they thought she couldn't hear. And sometimes, even when she could, her name was Clara. And from the day she came into this world, it seemed the world had already made up its mind about her. In the little town of Dry Creek, beauty was measured in how delicate you looked. Soft hands, tiny waists, porcelain smiles. But Clara was none of that. She was tall, broad-shouldered, and built strong, like the oak trees that refused to break no matter the storm. Her parents were poor farmers, fighting each season just to keep their land. Her mother loved her quietly, but her father, he saw only another mouth to feed. When Clara turned 19, he made a choice that would change her life forever. He sold her, traded her like cattle. Her new master was a rancher named Pike, a man known for his cruelty and temper. He didn't buy Clara for love or care. He bought her to work, to haul water, mend fences, and cook meals from dawn till dark. Too big to marry, he'd sneer in front of others, but just right for the mule work, and the men would laugh while Clara stood silent, hiding her pain behind lowered eyes. But fate has its own way of setting things right, especially in the Old West, and all it takes is one moment, one man, to change everything. It happened on a scorching summer day. Pike sent Clara to town for supplies. As she carried the heavy sacks across her shoulders, a cowboy leaned against the saloon rail, watching her with quiet eyes. His name was Daniel McGraw, a man whose reputation rode the trails from Montana to Texas. Tough in a fight, gentle in spirit, and always on the side of what's right. Daniel noticed how the townsfolk stared at her, laughing, judging, cruel. He noticed how she kept her eyes on the ground, her pride buried under years of shame. And when Pike came out yelling at her in public, Daniel felt something burn deep inside, a fire that no amount of whiskey or dust could put out. Later that evening, as Clara lifted a torn sack of flour and the white powder covered her dress, the crowd laughed again. Clumsy and fat, one man jeered. Before she could bend to clean it, Daniel stepped forward, lifted the bag with ease, and looked her straight in the eyes. His voice was low, but it carried through the silence. "You're just right," he said softly. "Just right for my arms." The street went quiet. Pike glared, but Daniel didn't care. For the first time in her life, Clara felt seen, not for her size, but for her strength. From that day on, Daniel found reasons to be near her. He'd help her carry the supplies, walk beside her through town, and talk about the skies, the cattle, and the beauty of the land. Clara tried to resist, afraid to believe in kindness. But Daniel's patience broke through walls that cruelty had built for years. Week by week, her heart began to trust again, but Pike noticed the change and his jealousy turned to rage. One night, drunk and bitter, he struck Clara across the face. Shaken and tear-streaked, she fled into the night, down to the riverbank where Daniel often sat under the stars. When he saw her coming, he rose without a word, opened his arms, and she stepped into them. For the first time, Clara felt safe. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why me? Everyone says I'm too much." Daniel smiled, lifting her chin gently. "Too much for fools who don't see worth. But for me, you're just enough. Strong, kind, and everything I need beside me." The next morning, Daniel rode to Pike's ranch and made his stand. He offered money, and not to buy Clara, but to set her free. Pike laughed, demanded a price no sane man would pay. But Daniel didn't flinch. He sold his best horse, worked the land, traded every favor he had. When he returned, he laid the coins on Pike's table and said, "She's worth more than you'll ever understand." And just like that, Clara's chains were broken. Freedom, though, wasn't easy. Clara had to learn to hold her head high, to believe she was more than what others said. And Daniel, he never stopped reminding her. Each time doubt crept in, he'd pull her close and whisper, "You're just right for my arms." The town that once mocked her began to see her differently. They saw her kindness, her strength, and how her love turned a rough cowboy into a better man. And one snowy night, as the fire crackled, Daniel took her hand and said simply, "Ride with me. Be my strength. Build a life together." Tears glistened in Clara's eyes as she whispered, "Yes, their wedding was small, but the sky itself seemed to bless it." In time their ranch flourished, laughter filled their home, and Clara, the woman once sold for being too big, became the very heart of their land. Travelers passing through spoke of the ranch where kindness reigned, where a woman's courage tamed the wild more than any gun ever could. And whenever the wind carried her doubts back to her, Daniel's arms were always there, steady and sure, reminding her again, "You're just right." In the wild, untamed West, stories like Clara's were written in dust and fire, tales of pain, love, and redemption that still echo through time. Because true worth isn't in how we look, but in the strength of our hearts and the love we dare to give. This has been another story from HQ Infinite Stories, where the past still speaks, and every tale reminds us that even in a world of hardship, kindness always finds a way to bloom. Stay with us for more journeys of courage, sacrifice, and love from the heart of the old Wild West.